Rhodes Island. This was a word I had no knowledge of. No memory. Terra? What is this place? How could my desire to pursue an improvement in art have led to all this? It's been a whole year now, so I should probably start from the beginning. When I grabbed Amiya's hand that day, I had no clue what I was in for. As I came to, before I could even ask who anyone was or where we were immediately cornered. Without much time to make sense of what was going on, I was quickly introduced to a few operators on the field and told to issue commands from a handheld device called PRTS. I was stressed, scared, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I had to issue commands to whichever operators on the field were protecting us. Luckily, there was a defender on the team just in case things got out of hand, but I was not good at issuing commands at the start. Doctor, Amiya needs your orders. We were trying to get out of a place called Chernabog, a city in Ursus that was taken over by a frightening group of violent agitators called Reunion, a group who fights for the rights of the infected people of Terra, but unlike Rhodes Island, who fights for both the infected and the uninfected, Reunion is violent, merciless, and will slaughter anyone who gets in their way. As we tried to get out of the city, the leader of Reunion, a Draco woman named Tallulah, soon cornered us. Amiya did her best to protect all of us, and a Fidia man named Ace bravely stayed behind so that we could make a run for it. I had just met Ace, but he was our hero in that moment too. As we tried to make our way out of the city, we were soon stopped by a masked individual known as Crown Slayer. We tried fighting her and quickly discovered that she had crazy skills to rush right past our operators. Even our sharpshooting crews had trouble keeping up, and Fang couldn't block her. But thankfully, Saria was able to catch her, which allowed Amiya to deliver the finishing blow, allowing us to make our escape. We continued onward to try and make our way to the rendezvous point. And after that, we...
Really? Our battle is the only one you have no record of? How convenient for you. I don't care how out of it you were, Doctor. You can't hide from me forever.
Doctor, I asked if you had those additional battle records I requested. Sorry, Calcit. Maybe Amiya has them. Anyways, after finally getting out of Chernabog, we made our way back to Rhodes Island, only to immediately be requested in the neighboring region of Lungmen in Yan to arrange negotiations with the Lungmen Guard Department, the LGD, regarding refugee Chernabog survivors in the city. In the city, we met an Ursus girl named Misha, who we attempted to rescue, but upon hearing that we were working with the LGD, she ran and chose to take the side of a Reunion member named Skull Shatterer instead. We defeated Skull Shatterer to a deadly end, but somehow later they had come back to life. However, Amiya recognized the voice of this new Skull Shatterer as Misha herself. She had donned Skull Shatterer's outfit in pursuit of her own goals to fight for the infected as a part of Reunion. We had no choice in avoiding this new battle. With Little Beagle holding the line strong and Pinecone at the ready, we were able to stop this Skull Shatterer from hurting our own operators and the LGD. As we discussed our next steps after Amiya talked with Chen, the leader of the LGD, we ended up back in Chernabog to assist another squad in finding Chernabog survivors and seeing if Reunion was still in the area. The land had been decimated, and Reunion was still in full force. We ran into a huge horde of Originium slugs on the way, special ones that would explode once defeated, creating a huge threat to the whole squad. But thankfully, we had Operator Lapland on call to, take care of the problem.
Is Isn't this why you keep me around, Doctor?
As we made our way further into Chernabog, the air was getting colder. We were making our way through while being informed about a legend of so-called Yetis as well. Making our way through the streets, the cold was getting worse and worse, and messing with my cognition and ability to lead well. I continuously ended up commanding Operator Mountain to stand in places where he could not reach the enemy, or assigned Lord Guard operators in front of him, much to his frustration and aggravation. Lapland did not seem to mind, though.
Doctor, I can't do anything over here.
Then I'll have the fun.
When these aforementioned Yetis eventually appeared before us as a branch group of Reunion, they were led by a goddess woman with a terrifying array of ice-based arts. She was striking, very cold and calculated, and a major threat to everyone. Even the Operator Frostleaf, who also deals with the cold normally, couldn't tolerate the goddess's frighteningly bitter arts. Once again, Amiya was there to protect us and allow us to escape. We quickly headed back to Lungmen after hearing from Chen that Reunion had moved there now too. Reunion was trying to overthrow both Chernabog and Lungmen. We had to move quick, but we kept running into major obstacles. One of the most terrifying was dealing with two young Reunion members, a Liberi and a Fedia boy. The Liberi could control horrific herds of mutated Reunion soldiers, and the Fedia was an expert at striking us from the shadows undetected. Eventually, we were able to overcome the tide of battle, though we had to resort to more drastic measures to survive, as the Fedia that could strike us undetected eventually had to move into the spotlight to protect the Liberi and other Reunion members with his life. After that, we headed back to Chernabog to once again face the Reunion and Yeti forces there. But there was a fissure from all the prior destruction, causing the ground underneath myself and the Yeti commander to collapse. After shortly coming to, and realizing we were trapped with no way out, the Yeti commander, who could not move, bid the time by telling me about her past. FrostNova, this young woman who was born in the mines of Ursus, lost her whole family and was rescued by a man who adopted her as his child. She asked me to grab a candy from her pocket, and offered me one as well. It was extremely spicy, and definitely not something I could tolerate. She laughed, and told me that because of her bitter cold arts, her body couldn't feel any heat, and only extremely spicy candies gave her any sense of warmth. In that moment under the rubble, she didn't feel like an enemy fighting for a cause opposing ours. She felt like a lost soul who needed a better direction, a place to call home. I was thinking that maybe she could leave Reunion. Soon enough, her rescuers found her faster than on our side, but she didn't attack me or Rhodes Island. She just said that, for everyone's sake, she hoped we didn't meet again. Unfortunately, things don't always pan out like we hope. After dealing with a plethora of issues with Reunion and the Yeti Squadron in Lungmen, we did eventually run into each other again. I was with Amiya, Blaze, and Greythroat, and we begged her to stop what she was doing, seeing that she was pushing her arts to their limits. But since so many of her fellow Yeti Squadron had fallen in battle, she felt no need to hold back. She had hatred, fury that could not be quelled over the treatment of the infected in Ursus and Lungmen. She said that Tallulah was the greater threat, and in order to stop Tallulah, we would have to prove our full power to either defeat her or lose our lives trying before even reaching Tallulah. I told Amiya I would move forward, but I didn't want to see it through. I told FrostNova she could join Rhodes Island and we'd stand together, but we had no choice, and Amiya said only one side would walk out. In the end, we didn't defeat her. Her Originium arts depleted the last of her strength. In her last breaths, she told us to stop Tallulah and to save her. She said she wanted to join Rhodes Island, that she would always be by our side. Eventually, I brought FrostNova back to Rhodes Island, to Rosemontis, and said goodbye for a final time. Though feeling empty and broken in that moment, I was soon informed by HR that a small Vulpo child had come to Rhodes Island. I think she must have been a bit frightened by my sudden reactions upon meeting her. Seeing those fluffy tails and a smile that could warm the coldest of hearts, I broke down and cried into her arms, and she could tell that we had just been through hell. Nevertheless, this child was so kind, so gentle and comforting, and brought a light and feeling of hope that I so desperately needed in that moment. Some first impression on my end, though. Nevertheless, Suzerain, welcome to the team. While Amiya was meeting with the head of Lungmen, Wei Yenwu, to terminate the contract with the LGD, Calcit informs Wei that Tallulah is working to crash Chernabog's core straight into Lungmen for a full-force reunion takeover. To stop Tallulah's plan, we run into Patriot. Patriot, Uldrakasti, FrostNova's adoptive father. This man, this warrior, who seems to have had a long history with Calcit too, faces us with a stance as sturdy as the mountains of Ursus themselves. He could sense what had happened with FrostNova too. I tried explaining that she had fought us with everything she had, to test us, to face Tallulah, to prove herself and her ideals. But Patriot would hear none of it. Even though he knew that Tallulah had Chernabog on a collision course toward Lungmen to take it over, and that she had truly led Reunion astray, Patriot would not budge and would not back down or listen to us when we told him that he didn't have to fight us. He said that he would continue to fight for the infected. He would only advance. After an extremely grueling battle, Patriot gave us the key to Chernabog's core and asked Calcit to give him a send-off in Sarkaz tradition. Just when things finally seemed to calm down, Patriot snapped when realizing that Amiya tried to give him hallucinatory comfort of loved ones he would reunite with in the afterlife. He calls her the Lord of Fiends, and says that a dark prophecy is now fulfilled, dying by the hands of the King of Sarkaz, meaning that the world itself will die. He tried to crush Amiya as his last stand, but Amiya protected herself with sharp blades, which Patriot allowed to kill him, never having wavered in his fight, but in the end, rejecting prophecy and entrusting the future to Amiya. We still had one final objective, to stop Tallulah. Amiya split Calcit and I from her and Rosemontis, the two operators going to the top of the control tower where Tallulah is, and Calcit and I going down to the generator area with the sarcophagus holding. The sarcophagus. That was where Amiya pulled me from that day, and apparently where Calcit had placed me beforehand. I still don't know enough about it, and this is as far as Calcit will tell me. Amiya told me her battle with Tallulah was not so cut and dry either. She found Chen at the top of the tower and faced Tallulah together. Tallulah, who was being controlled by an ageless named Cache, the deathless black snake, was not the same Tallulah that Chen had grown up with as a sister, but rather the name of the figure that had kidnapped her. Chen, determined to bring back the real Tallulah, fought Cache side by side with Amiya, and as the battle grew terrifying, Amiya took in Chen's memories, the rage in her heart, her own memories of everyone in Rhodes Island, Tallulah's memories of reunion members only she knew, and memories of those beyond, including a Sarkaz lord with a sword of cerulean. These memories allowed Amiya to summon a physical manifestation of his sword, flecked with a wrathful cerulean flame, yet mirrored to the appearance of Chen's weapon, Chi Shao. With this newfound ability, Amiya and Chen brought Cache down, and as Cache threatened to kill Tallulah right then and there, Tallulah finally freed herself from Cache's control. Amiya and Chen finally stopped the collision of the core city, and I'm told that a certain Sarkaz helped too, though I'm reluctant to believe it. Tallulah is now in custody in Rhodes Island. Where we go from here? I'm not sure. After dealing with such an intense world of confusion, loss, heartache, and newfound determination for the future of Rhodes Island, I got to gradually hear the stories of some other operators and what brought them to Rhodes Island. Gaviel went to visit her own stomping grounds in Aquala, and while we tried to accompany her, we were shot out of the sky. The Arcosoria Tomimi had a plan to try to keep Gaviel in Aquala by luring her to become the next great chief over there. Pojomka came from the underground city of Zaretsa, and she seemed less than thrilled to be here, lamenting not wanting to spend her days fighting. I'm a bit confused, though. She has a bow that looks perfectly fit for combat, even tailored for her in an elegant fountain pen shape. Tragodia, as he now calls himself, seems to have gone on a very intense journey out in Rankwood, Columbia. He looks so different now. His all-black garb replaced with white robes and golden laurel leaves in his hair, and his composure has completely changed. It's good to see Miss Christine is still around him too. What a lovely lady. Suzerain told us the story of her and Folinik in Volamond. A Sarkaz of Reunion, Mudrock, was inciting more fighting between infected and non-infected, believing the Winter Wisps of Volamond to have started this bloodshed. Suzerain and Folinik tried to quell the chaos after learning that the instigator was not the Winter Wisp people at all. I also spoke to Hoshiguma after she returned from Higashi. She came back with an Aegir idol, and something about her past as a fearsome Oni that was scaring people. More importantly, she went to one of the shrines and met Suzerain's dad! I hope he gets to come to Rhodes Island someday too. Suzerain says he has foxfire that is like crystal. I really want to meet him someday. Doctor, are you even listening? Then, I spoke to Neural, who had returned from Kajimersh and the Grand Knight territory, taking on the title of Radiant Knight. She only stopped by for a quick visit since she's now part of the Kajimersh branch of Rhodes Island, but she told me all about her time in the arena, how the Knights operate, and about continually facing the Armorless Union after trying to find a quiet moment with operators Shining and Nightingale. Something about the way she described the city lights and the playing music had me welling up a bit suddenly, like I was remembering a dream of some sort of fortuitous event that I had experienced long ago. Doctor, what's the matter? Just reminded me of a dream is all. I'm glad you have such a deep bond. Lastly, I met up again with Dr. Calcit, shortly after navigating the land ship through a mess of cyclones. She said that I remembered an Originium-based formula that I had once written in the past as an Originium researcher. This showed her that despite this memory loss, there was still something there. She then asked me if I would want my memories back. Something about the way she said this made me question the reality of the situation, far greater than I likely needed to in the moment. I started to think about Amiya, and how Calcit said to avoid giving her any more burdens. I thought about how Amiya might feel if she knew that I could remember all the good memories we shared together, and then I thought about how she would react if I remembered all the terrible things I may have done in the past. Would she forgive me? Would she hate me? I wrestled with the thought for ages, while Calcit continued to watch me, wordlessly and emotionlessly as always. When I eventually told her that it would be worse to hide from the past, and that I would want to know everything that happened, she told me that in the end, the answer didn't matter, and that if I regained my memories, how would I avoid falling into the same abyss that I did in the past? But it made me realize something. That no matter what happens, there's no chance I'll be replicating the past in the exact same way again. As long as I don't lose the memories of everyone I know now, my emotions, hardships, and experiences have already changed whatever my past trajectory may have been. Every new encounter, every new day, is a new experience that paints over whoever this terrifying old me may have been. Throughout all of these battles and hardships, with Skullshatterer, and Patriot, and Tallulah, and FrostNova, I want to fight for a brighter future with Rhodes Island. I want to stand side by side with Amiya, and fight for the Dawn. And not just Amiya, but everyone who helped us in this adventure so far. With Suzerain and Vulpesfoya, with Astacia and Reed, Susuro and Saria, Lapland and Mountain, you and Praminix, and so many other operators, like Cantabile and Lessing and Telopsis and Neural, that I still love and appreciate and want them to know how much I value and honor their hard work too. Even when different operators are assigned to different missions, I want them to know how important they are, and how important everyone is, who have helped support me in this wild and fantastic journey. I don't know how I can convey my gratitude to everyone, so I hope you appreciate that I tried to recreate some of my feelings in a visual manner that I felt would showcase these best. I don't know what the future holds. Whether we next explore the night territories of Kazimierz, the vast and deep ocean, the sights of Laterano, the mountains of Kirag, and eventually make our way to Victoria, I hope that you will continue to join me on this journey. There is still so much I don't know, and still so much I want to know. I'm scared and excited for what awaits us all further. Thank you for this year-long journey throughout Terra, and I hope to be here for many more.